Jonathan Feigen covers the Rockets for the Houston Chronicle, and he is with us here on Game Time. Jonathan, appreciate the time as always. Harden's dealing with some kind of left shoulder issue. As far as I can tell from here, the diagnosis is fairly vague, but it is affecting him on the floor. He was 9 of 23 on Monday. What, to the best of your knowledge, is going on with him?
Yeah, it's a soreness. He got tangled up with Steven Adams over the weekend on Saturday. And he was sore, had some trouble getting going the other night, Monday night, and started very badly, 1 of 7 to start the game on threes. But it seemed to loosen up a bit as the game went on. He was able to practice yesterday. There's no way they're letting him practice right now if there's an issue. And he's not on the injury report in any way, not even as probable today. So he's good to go.
Well, he's got this 30-point streak among other offensive craziness going on with James Harden, including the 30 straight 30-point games. You cover this team on a daily basis. What is the craziest of those crazy James Harden numbers you've encountered so far that would capture what he's doing this season?
I love that question. There's so many. There's so many. You know, this isn't like just one number, but to me, you look at the guys who've averaged 35 in a season, he's doing it on fewer shots, in fewer minutes, while averaging more assists than any of them. More than Chamberlain and all the times he did it, more than Jordan, more than Rick Barry, more than Kobe Bryant. Fewer shots, higher field goal percentage, higher true shooting percentage. It's truly one of the all-time great offensive seasons.
Jonathan, I know we concentrate so much on James being in the heat of the moment. He doesn't want to miss games. He doesn't like taking any time off. But is somebody somewhere in Houston at least thinking about pulling him back a little bit, pulling the reins back just a little bit so he doesn't have to worry about whether or not he's got enough steam in his tank come playoff time?
Well, they feel like they're doing what they can do without just benching him for games. They cut way back on practices. A lot of the practices are basically what other teams consider shoot-arounds. They've almost done away with shoot-arounds. They've had, I think, 5 this season. And he's really vigilant about what he's doing. They don't have shoot-arounds, but he comes in every morning to get stretched, to do some therapy, that kind of stuff. He's doing that anyway. He's worked a lot on his diet. He's trying to do everything he can so that when it needs to be, the tank will be full.
Kenneth Reed was on no one's radar, until he gets a Rockets uniform. And now he's just been, really a revelation in terms of how much energy and activity he's brought to the roster. Did somebody have him earmarked as a guy that they could pursue at some point, or was this a surprise to the staff in Houston as well?
Well, Seiko, it's more of they get the injury to Clint Capella, and they need help, and they need it now. And here's a guy who at the time was not playing at all for the Nets. Ever since they signed Ed Davis, there was no minutes for him. Obviously, Jared Allen, the starter. And he fits exactly what they do. He is a rim runner. He's going to set a screen and go hard to the rim, and that's what works next to James Harden and Chris Paul. So they had a lot of confidence that he would fit right in. Plus, he plays with great energy, as you said, and, well, somebody's got to get the rebounds. And they don't get enough of him as is, so he's getting his share, and they really needed that.
Mike D'Antoni declares Chris Paul, quote, totally back after 7 games returning from injury. In light of Harden's historic season, what kind of an adjustment has it been for Chris Paul on the floor since he returned?
Not that much, because he had already made that adjustment. He played off the ball when he played with James Harden a great deal last season. And throughout this season, he sort of uses the first quarter to just be in playmaker mode. He hasn't been looking for his shots as much until he comes back in at about the 2-minute mark at the end of the first quarter. And then he starts to look to be more aggressive offensively. And yeah, he has looked more and more like himself each game, really, where he's directing things as Chris Paul tends to do on and off the court. And he is doing that again. His shot is looking good. His catch and shoot 3, which is very important when he plays with James. And he has set up James for a few catch and shoot 3s, which has never really been a big part of James Harden's game, but especially this season, obviously. And they're including that last bucket to get 30 the other night. That came off a Chris Paul pass. And so they have added another playmaker because he really does look like himself as a passer again.
All right, Jonathan, it is the All-Star break for a lot of folks, including some media. So are you going to Charlotte? Are you going somewhere tropical or maybe column C?
Wait a minute, Charlotte's not both? No, yeah, I'm going to Charlotte.
Okay.
It's one of those with James Harden, you kind of assume he'll be there, and he will be. But, you know, Matt, I kind of rethought the stat question you started with.
Oh, we have a better stat.
Yeah, I don't know why this one did. It's shorter, too, than that first one. Points per 100 possessions. Mm-hmm. Right now, he's the all-time leader.
If he continues on this pace.
Yeah, if he keeps on this pace, you know, all those guys, some of which who scored more than he is averaging per possession, because they used to play at ridiculous pace
in the
back
60s,
then, and the
yeah.
Rockets don't play.
Right, 60s
Yeah.
in the 1960s, and younger viewers probably don't know that at all. A lot of viewers, in fact, but they played incredibly fast in terms of possessions and up and down the floor and getting off shots. So the
so
highest
he's
ever
one.
per 100.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. All time is pretty good. It's hard to top that. We'll leave it there. Jonathan Feigen with us from the Houston Chronicle. Appreciate the time.
It was my pleasure.